Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. Today I'm bringing you guys my second impressions video of the newly released Tier 8 Premium French Light Cruiser Bayard. And, well, before I do that, I know it's been some time since I've done a first, second, and third impressions video for any ships. And this is my review style. I give you guys my first impressions on a ship, like the day it comes out, if I can, or as close to it as I can. And that's when I dive into the technical details and like my first 3 or 4 games with the ship to give you guys my genuine first impressions of the ship. The second impressions video usually comes out 2 to 3 to 4 days later after I've had more time with the ship to really get a feel for it. And that's what today's video is. So if you want to see more about the technical parts of the ship, go ahead and check out my first impressions video, then come back and watch this one. So anyway, the Bayard, she is a Tier 8 French light cruiser. She has 12 152mm guns. They are in 2 turrets for the structure and 2 turrets after the structure with 3 guns per turret. And they have a firing range of 16.4 kilometers. They reload in roughly 7 seconds, but you can get that down lower with the reload booster consumable that the Bayard does have. She also has hydroacoustic search and, of course, damage con. She also gets 2 sets of torpedoes with 3 torpedoes per set, and they have a firing range of 9 kilometers. The ship's detection range with just the concealment module right now is sitting around 10 kilometers. You can get that lower because my Bayard that you see on screen right now does not have concealment expert on the captain, so that can get decreased by another 10%, which would put that around 9 kilometers, so roughly the range of the torpedoes. So the Bayard, just my thoughts on it as of now. She still feels very, very good, as I said in my first impressions video. She feels very French. It feels like she fits very well within the French tech line. She's very fast, she's good at dancing, she's good at kiting, and she can't take a hit worth crap. This ship is definitely not made for tanking. She only has 16mm of armor on her bow and stern, and well, her belt armor doesn't really matter all that much because she can tank some shells from other light cruisers. Anything with large-ish guns are just going to go right through the ship. She is not made for that. She's made for running away. And I mean, make all the French jokes you want about that, but she's very good at that. And her torpedoes, while they only have a 9-kilometer range if you're kiting with them, since the enemy ship is presumably trying to chase you down, you can, of course, just fire those in advance, keep kiting them, and they'll just sail into your range. I've done it many times. It's quite enjoyable, and I get a good chuckle out of it every time I get that to work. So just because it says 9 kilometers, if you're playing the ship right and dragging them out, they will just sail right into them. It's quite hilarious. I've always been on the receiving end of that as a battleship player, but now doing it, it's pretty satisfying. I kind of understand why people like this playstyle so much. So her range is only 16.4 kilometers. Now for a Tier 8 cruiser in a Tier 8 game, that's no problem. But the Bayard's biggest issues, of course, come from when it gets up-tiered, because when it gets up-tiered, this thing is a bit of a chew toy to most Tier 10 ships. And I've played many Tier 10 games in this ship because I played it mostly over the weekend. And yeah, it hurts being up-tiered, but you can still be an annoyance. You can still help your team out. And if you're really good at kiting, then, I mean, it really doesn't matter what tier the ship is, because fires don't really care about tier. They're still gonna burn. And that being said, I do have IFHE on my Bayard, so I'm mostly getting pins from the superstructure, but just from the sheer amount of firepower that the Bayard can spew out, you will set a fair few fires, especially if you use the reload booster. And the way I use that is I normally just get whatever ship I'm kiting to follow me, and then, you know, when I finally just get in the right position and I'm landing shots consistently, you just pop that, and then you just spew a never-ending stream of fire into their superstructure for the duration of the module of the consumable, and then you go back to just, well, doing it but at a slower rate. And that does help a lot. I mean, you'd be surprised how, well, I guess some of you won't be surprised by how long some ships will follow you for. I certainly fell for it when the Bayard first came out. There's a clip somewhere on the channel of me trying just to kill a Bayard with the Salem, and it doing the same thing to me that I have been doing. So the ship is certainly its strongest when you can get into a good position of just running and gunning and kiting, just like the rest of the French cruiser line. And with the engine boost and the Sierra Mike flag, you can get this ship rocking up to about 40 knots, which is pretty dang fast for a cruiser. Now, when you get to a tier 10 game, you pretty much want to play it pretty much like a large destroyer almost. From my understanding of how the French destroyers are played very similarly to that, kind of like a Cabalrosk, if you will, just rocking at max speed and gunboating. But I would advise staying away from open water in the Bayard, because as maneuverable as it is, it's not as maneuverable as a destroyer, and hiding behind islands and ducking in and out of islands is definitely going to be your go-to method with tier 10 games. And I've still been able to have fun with this ship in tier 10 games, because you may only do 60 or 70,000 damage with it in tier 10 games if you're not a cruiser main, and I'm certainly am not a cruiser main. I'm just now getting into them. But you can still go, man, I did 60, I did 70,000 damage to tier 10 ships. I'm in here in this rinky-dink little tier 8. It feels pretty good and like a mini victory, even though if your team went down in a ball of fire, but you can still feel good. You can still feel good about yourself and your performance, at least. But again, at tier 10, it's just absolute. If you see a battleship at tier 10, and you just kind of scream, throw your torpedoes at it, turn around, and run for your life, and that even has limited success because, like I said, the ship it pretty much has no armor against battleships for sure, and they can pin you from whichever angle they please. And when at tier 10 you're facing stuff like the Yamato, the Kremlin, the Kurfürst, the Republic, all of ships with very large guns that don't really care about your armor. So you have to play it a bit more cautiously at tier 10. But like I said, for tier 8, it's great. I think it feels fine. There's no real gimmick to this ship because all that this ship has, the other French cruisers already have. It's just a light cruiser instead of a heavy cruiser. And I feel like she's a good, well-rounded ship with strengths and weaknesses. Weakness, of course, being her armor. That's her biggest weakness. But like I said, she got her maneuverability, her speed, the reload booster for her guns. So it kind of comes around to a pretty good, all well-rounded light cruiser, with her two biggest drawbacks being the armor and her range. But I really don't feel like the range is that big of a deal, because I've been able to do just fine with it. But some people have been complaining that it doesn't have enough range, but it's 16 kilometers for a light cruiser with reload booster. Seems pretty fair to me. I don't know. Some people apparently don't think so. But again, all around, I think this is a well-rounded cruiser. Now, the thing, like I said, like what most of this video has been about, is that at the end of the day, this is a tier 8 ship. And it's a premium ship, so you have to pay for it. So you're paying to mostly get up to tier 10. Now this is a problem that every tier 8 premium has, and that is where a good chunk of the premiums for this game are at. And you're paying to have that, to be put into that matchmaking and have that happen. So you have to sit back and think to yourself, well, I like how the Bayard looks, I like how it plays, but do I want to pay to pretty much get up to tier 10 in about half of your games? Now, granted, when I'm playing it right now, this is summer, school's out, there's not a whole lot going on, so there are more people on, so it's basically like one giant weekend. So right now might be the best time to play it, because once school goes back into session and college goes back into session, the player base is going to drop, and then you're going to get even more tier 10 games. But like I said, in my experience at tier 10, yes, I have been absolutely nuked off the map one or two times, well, more than one or two times. And a good chunk of that is my fault for being caught out in the open, but another good chunk of that is simply because the Bayard isn't that great at tanking. And it just happens sometimes when you play, well, any ship. You can be wiped off the face of the map in this game via detonation or just an unlucky bit of luck but I've been having fun with it. I feel like the ship is fun, and I haven't been seeing a lot of it in-game, and that might be because there hasn't really been too much fanfare about this ship from Wargaming. It just kind of came out. I didn't even know it was released until I went looking in the arsenal for it, and I think it was mentioned in the update video that Wargaming put out, but there really hasn't been a lot of news about this ship. But I feel this is a good one, and if you're used to playing French cruisers, you'll do fine in the Bayard. If you're used to playing any type of light cruiser like the Worcester, it's kind of like that, just with less guns and doesn't get a heal. So if you like that type of playstyle, you'll like this ship. If you like run and gunning, you'll like this ship. If you like being sneaky, you'll like this ship, because it is great fun to be sneaky in this thing and get your torpedoes off on somebody. I know someone left a comment saying, well, if you're within 4 kilometers of a battleship in a Bayard, you're doing it wrong. Yeah, but I like to have fun like that every now and then and get a bit of surprise torpedoes off on them. The torpedoes are, like I said, slow, but for those oh crap moments, they can certainly work. And like I mentioned earlier, if you're kiting and dragging someone along behind you, they'll work in that situation too. You guys saw me do that to the Grosser Kerr first. In the first impressions video, I managed to snag a torpedo hit on him and sink him. And like I said, I think the ship's fun. I think it's fine. The biggest decision for you to make is, do you want a tier 8? You know, do you want to deal with tier 8 matchmaking? If no, well then don't get the ship. That's my advice to you. So guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. We're on our way to 4,000 subscribers. Let me know what you guys think about the Bayard in the comments down below. Alright guys, hope you're having a wonderful, what day is this going to be? Wednesday. Nope, this is going to be Thursday's video. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. I'll catch you guys in the next one.